Good morning to everybody. So today the subject course is MMPH 004, Industrial and the Employment Relations. I am academic counselor of IGNOU. It is Biswas. So today we have to discuss about the block 4. Block 2. It's the trade unions. So in this block there are four units. That is your unit number 6, 7, and 8, 9. Unit 6 is your development and function of the trade unions. Unit number 7 is your trade union structure and leadership recognitions. Unit 8 is your managerial unionisms. Unit 9 is your employment relations in non-union firms. So let's see, try to clear the concept of this, why the trade union is required and what the way it has come. The process of the modern industrializations and that you have seen that gradually the trade union necessity of the trade unions has been emphasized, it is highlighted. So become an integral and the powerful force in the contemporary system of the productions and distributions of the goods and services. So it is necessary. Employers' organizations are formal groups of the employers set up to define, the represent, or they advise the affiliated employers and to strengthen their positions in society at large with respect to labor millennials besides the economic matters. It means for the workers or for the employees, some association is required. They can represent their desires, their the necessities to the management, and by the mutual discussions, some should be formulated for their future growth and their well-beings. So employers' organizations are basically composed of the enterprises. The development of the trade unions in India, basically, this can be studied under the following different stages of this. So, is the period of the First World War, that is from 1875 to 1918, and another phase is your between from Great War, two Great Wars, that is 1918 to 1938. So, this is the gaps in between. The study has been done, and what are the development, what are the scenario has been found out, that is recorded. So, and third is after the Second World War. So here you see one is your First World War, period of First World War, and that is from and between the two great wars, First World War and Second World War, that is another phase. And after the Second World War, that is another number 4 phase is your post-independence period, that is 1947. So there are 4 phases have been analyzed and some functions are derived. So a mass meeting was organized in Bombay in 1890, April. And that time around 10,000 workers were attended. So it is one of the significant matter. During that time, around 10,000 workers attended, and some resolutions also passed in the meeting. That is one is the weekly off, that is Sunday or something off. Then another is a half an hour rest at the noon. Earlier it was not there with that. So in 1819, a lot of resolutions that are listed now, and reducing the working hours because 8 hours is fixed, and after that it cannot be extra work. So that earlier it was 14 hours, 16 hours as per the owners was there, and everybody has to follow. The worker has to follow these things. So now that has been also reduced. Payment of wages not later than 15 day of the each month. So every month before the 15 day of 15, salary should be given. There should not be a delay. should be there. So all these are resolutions has been passed. Compensations to injuries sustained by a worker on the duty. So we're on duty, if we feel if we face some problems or any medical requirement is there or some injuries, so company has to bear. So that also has been listed. Then, following the formation of the Bombay Mill Hands Association, a number of unions were formed in different parts of the country. And subsequently, there are all these, what are the happening that is only described here. Amalgamate the Society of the Railway Servants in India and the Burma, that is the Anglo-Indian Railway Employees. It is talking about that time period. British era, basically. Then Printers Union of Calcutta, that is 1905. Then your another unionist formations, associations, basically. Bombay Postal Union at Calcutta and Madras, that is 1907. You see the chronologically, the year-wise, 1905, then your 1907, then 1909, and 1910. Subsequently, there's all these associations as formed. The Social Service League also 1910. Then the factors responsible for the situations were as follows. So what are the factors at that time? Because all this association has formed, definitely some reasons there. What is the reason behind it, or what are the factors that is the things? The main thing was the economic difficulties created by the war. Because of the war, a lot of economically conditions, there is totally unrest and industries are not there. So because of that, unemployment, everything are situations are all together, it has come. The raising the cost of the living made in the workers to take the collective actions in the increase of the wages. So that is one thing. Another thing is the Swaraj movement. Swaraj movement is widening your gulf between the employers and the gap between, basically widening the gap between, not gulf, it is a gap between the employers and the employees, and the mass working among the workers, that is demanding the racial equality with their British employers, further intensify the movement. So Swaraj movement is another issue, I mean one of the factor. Economical difficulties, in short I can say the number one, that is your economic difficulties because of the war. And second is your Swaraj movement, as you know in the history. Then your emergence of a revolutionary wave of your ideas, class consciousness, and self-respect among workers from it is the Russian revolutions in 1917. That is one of the factors. Then another is your establishment of the International Labor, that is organization ILO. It is formed in 1919, giving dignity to the workers all over the world. Here actually I want to highlight the learners, because you see all these associations, date is very important. So you have to memorize, you have to write in somewhere what the revolutions, when it has started, and then what the ILO formation date, 1980. So all these things are very important to note down the things when you are writing some of the answer regarding these things. What are the factors? So you have to mention all the years. Then your non-cooperation movement led by the Mahatma Gandhi, as you know, this is the 1920-21, that is support to the demand of the working class, also greatly influenced with the labor movement. So chronologically, if we see the earlier one, I can recap these things, especially then you can see first is your economic difficulties, the Swaraj movement, then you have seen the revolutions, and then your Russian revolutions basically. Then after that, your international labor organizations established for the dignity for your workers. Then your non-cooperation movement by Mahatma Gandhi. So all that it is influencing the movement. Now, present scenario of the trade unions. Now, before that, we have discussed about the history as such, what are the revolutions, how it has things. Now, coming to the present scenario, the Indian trade unions have now got a legal status. Earlier, it was not a legal status. Now, legal status, and there are more ad hoc bodies, or we can say the committees are there. And now it is a permanent features of the industrial society. So they have succeeded in the organizing the central union federations, which help in the determination of the principles, philosophy, ideology, and your purposes. The unions and they give more, give some sense of the directions in the otherwise scattered by the isolated unions. So recognitions, basically the recognitions of the Indian trade unions. Earlier, small sort of ad hoc basis, now they are permanent features in the trade union things. So this is another the movement, all the organizations, most of the industries, all the industries and factories, there is some union is there. So changes. Uh, Changes is manifested in three ways. So first we can say the political leaderships, national federations purpose, and the non-trade unions functions. Leaders have secondary interest. Basically, the political leaders they are taking as the secondary interest for the labor unions activities. They are very much interested on the leadership, how to improve their leaderships, how to create the members of the union cadres, and how to they can perform in the futures, their training programs. So politically, they are focused on these things. So that's why he actually saying the secondary interest for the labor unions. The peasants' needs I'm talking about. Second point is that national federations have shown keen interest in the long-term activities, but national federations they are showing the long-term activities, even maintaining their rival characters. So now federations arrange for the training for the workers. So that changes are going on. Now trade unions function as autonomous units rather than simply case in the appendage of the political parties. So these all are the some manifested in the three ways. Basic functions. Now we're talking the basic functions. It is the important basic functions of the trade unions listed by the national commissions of the laborers. That is to secure for the workers fair wages. To secure it, what are the wages are likely to be given by the employee, by the employer, that should be reasonable, and they can survive their life in the present scenario, present conditions. So wage should be some basic needs can be fulfilled. Another thing, objectives is to safeguard the security of tenure and the improved condition of service, because at least 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, service should be intact. That some security should be there, and improve their condition in the service. Doesn't mean the 10 years they are serving in the same condition. No, that some improvement should be there by the promotions or by some elevated positions or escalation should be there. Then another thing, to enlarge the opportunities for the promotion and the training. So everybody should have get the opportunity, and the promotion scheme should be there, training should be there. All are the basic functions. To improve the working and the living conditions. So there is a fourth point is very important. Working improvement in such their quality, productivity, all these things are important. And the other side by side, you have the living conditions. Sorry. Another thing, to provide the educational, cultural, and institutional facilities. That is another important. Recreational facilities. There should be some recreations should be there annually, annual functions. Some cultural programs should be there so that they can have a togetherness can be improved to provide for the an educational purpose also. To cooperate, to operate in the facilities, the technological advances by the broadening the understanding of the workers on this underlining the issues. Sorry. Um, Another thing to promote the identity of interest of workers with their industry, to offer the responsive cooperations in improving levels of productions and the productivity, discipline, and high standard of the quality. So, it's all are the basic functions to improve their levels, the cooperation levels, to promote the individual and the collective welfare, so that they can live where they are in the very and their collective welfare in the sense of the children educations, family members, all are happy, their health, all these points are accumulated here, actually. Individually and as a team also. Then economic functions. Now, basically, the basic functions that we have already discussed. Now, the economic functions. So, economic functions here they are underlining the idea of forming a trade union to acquire the collective strength. So, individually cannot do this. That's why sometimes through this association or through some state unions, something can be fulfilled. So that's why that is the significance of the trade unions. So economic functions are basically the protecting and the advancing the terms and the condition of the employment of its members. So first thing is the protections and advancing. Then number two is negotiating and setting terms and conditions for the employment and remunerations. So how much salary, how much the remuneration should be there, any French baby bonus, whatever the things, or any children education, allowances, whatever the things, that has to be agreed by the union and the management. So that's just negotiation is there. Some of the affidavit, some of the amendments should be there, or it should be recorded some. So terms and conditions are to be set it. Improving the status and the and working of the living conditions of the workers. So that is another aspect of the economic point of view, functions. So, and promoting the economic and the social interest of the members. So all the members should be promote to the economic condition, means economic conditions should be high. Social interest is also should be there. There should be participative mind. Then social functions are carried out by the trade unions are as follows. So now another functions are there. This is the social functions. Initiating and developing the workers' education schemes. So it is very important because you initiate the workers' education schemes. Those who are by virtue of problems, I think they have not studied further or by the background, such a background. So now they are interested to study something. So for the career development purposes. So some education schemes should be there, higher education schemes. Those who are matriculated or some with the higher secondaries, they should go for graduation levels to some through these open universities or some open schools. They can continue their studies. That type of promotion should be there. It should be initiated by the peers. For the social functions, even in the higher studies also. Organizing the welfare and the educational activities, as we have already discussed, some mutual insurance, uh, and providing some monetary help also should be there. So during the period of strike and the economic distresses, suppose some recessions or some of the economic distresses going on. So at least without job card, that should give some uh, money so that they can survive. Even in the strike period, also they should provide some monetary benefits so that they can children and their family can survive for the sake of their families survival. So some monetary fund should be, yes. It is all of the social your social functions. Running cooperatives, during the cooperatives, because in the cooperative fund, they can help to each others based on the situations. Providing the housing facilities. Sorry, actually, today I'm not feeling well. Excuse me. Providing the housing facilities, this should be there. And another, participating in the community development and the community protection activities. Then engaging in the cultural activities is all also one of the another functions. Then your cooperative with the government or the governmental agencies and social welfare programs. So all are the function. So far we have discussed your first things we have discussed about the basic functions. Then after that we have discussed about the economic functions, and then now we are discussing the social functions. Now political functions. So political functions, the carrying on the political educations of the workers, obtaining the political power and the influence through the developing political parties of their own, and the extending help to candidates of other political parties who are sympathetic to the cause of labor, carrying on the lobbying activities for the influencing the course of labor and other legislations. Participating in and representing the workers on the advisory institutions and the bodies, developing the militancy and the revolutionary wishes among the workers, protesting against the governmental decisions and measures detrimental to the interest of workers. This is all our political functions. Then international functions. International functions means ILO, as we know, the International Labor Organizations, they have some activities specified, participating in the organization and the activities, they have to specify there. So all these ILO, as per the ILO, they have some also functions. Associating with the international federations of the trade unions, such as the World Federations of the Trade Union, that is WFTU, then your international confederations of the free trade unions, that is ICFUT, TU, and international trade unions secretariats for the purpose of the building working class unity and solidarity, like this. And sending the monetary and other help to the workers to other countries during the period of need. Suppose, for example, during the war or maybe some of the climatic disasters or any hazardness, say any situations that have ILO and other World Federation trade unions, they can help each other countries workers by a very cordial way and with a synchronized way they can help in these things. So that is the international functions in the development and the trade unions. So all these are the recent development which are talking. Then various structural types of unions have emerged in present scenario over the period of time. So these are the occupational unions, industrial unions, general unions, then your enterprise unions, state-sponsored unions, and national unions. And the main features of these unions are we have to now discuss. That is, you see here, the central federations are there, then some state level federation, I can say, and finally it is affiliated or some independent bodies there, industrial federations are there in the national levels, it is regional levels, and is the primary unions. These are all the primary unions affiliated or independent, whatever it is. Those are affiliated, they are directly by the state government and by the state levels and the central levels. All are integrated way they are maintained, and some sort of leadership is also there. So now we are talking about the trade union structures and the leadership recognitions. So it is all the structures are given. Now, the foregoing discussions related to the trade union structures, it has seen that organized sectors, or we can say the formal sectors, which the account of the around 7% only in the total labor force in the country. So, lot of other should be included. Some inclusiveness should be there. Thus, the informal sectors, unorganized sectors, accounts for nearly 93% of the country's working population. So you see the imagine so much gap, so much differences are there. So in spite of the having a large majority of the workforce, the sector has been neglected by the trade unions movement in the country. So now the government of the trade unions in India can be discussed at three levels. So there are three levels of there. There's a primary levels, industrial levels, and central levels. From the structure also, just I have shown the slides. There also it is clear. There are in the structure there are three levels basically. Primary levels, as I showed, I can show you again. These are the primary levels. Then industrial levels and the your central national levels. So same thing now it is bifurcated. What the way the levels are there. Managerial unions, like the trade unions in general, that is, suffered a minor setback towards the mid 70s on account of the national emergency. As we know that during that time, a lot of setbacks for the unions cannot do anything because of the national emergency. It cannot be possible like this. But immediately after the lifting of the national emergency, then again it is geared up and it is again the followed by the emergency. And several officers association has formed, and a lot of new unions has been registered as per the Trade Union Act is in 1928. So some more of them were formally recognized by the top management. Then you see here that some of the apex where the top layer of the managers and left out base where the white collar clerical and the staff union stops appears, then manager association territory. So it is showing some of the area. Basically, the apex always should be in the top levels, apex body. So some boundaries, basically this I'm showing some of the boundaries and territory, how it has looks. Then it is problematic to determine the limits of association consistency of the manager associations. Then according to Ramaswamy at the base of the managerial associations taken up from where the white collar clerical and the staff unions stop there. At the apex, the managerial associations would evidently leave out the top layer of managers who may not join or be acceptable to the associations. So what lies in between these 2 points in the association tested? So this is some of the what are the showing different authors, the Ramaswamy, they have explained the things, how it is. Now we are talking about this one of the major causes for the formation of managerial unions. Why the managerial unions are formed or registered, and what are what are the reason behind it. So that things are to explore and see. Number one, when it is narrowing the wage differentials, because that wage differentials are not justified by the top level and the bottom levels, and those who are high skilled employees and non-skilled people. So that things are is one of the causes for the managerial unions formed because of that. Because one thing you see everywhere, the hard works, educations levels, and some status are always to be maintained, and those who are non-educationals or some nature works. So that should be justified somewhere. And loss of identity is also another issue, because she has not dignified, not recognized basically, and that identity is now losing the identity. So this is another cause behind it, for formation of the managerial unions. Job insecurity, as we know, when the employees are job insecure, will always kick off, or some of the layoff is going on continuous basis, and definitely job cards are there frequently, then some insecurity will be built up. And so to cope up these situations, so again, that's why the managerial unions in India are registered. I mean, the formation, this is one of the causes. Perceive the need for the protections from the militant trade unions, because sometimes the trade unions doing that gap, and some negotiations are there, and to protect from them, sometimes the managerial unions has been formed from the but the perceptions basically. Now bureaucratic cultures. If there are so many levels are there everywhere, the hierarchy are like this, and your idea or your creativity are not recognized or not authenticated. So maybe due to this, culture is also not there, bureaucratic cultures. That's why bossing are there. Everybody are saying, I am the boss. What I am saying, everybody has to follow these things. So where the more of instruction type of work is there going on, and until and unless if the instruction are not coming from the top level, people are not reluctant to do all this thing, anything in as per the wills. So in that conditions also the managerial unions are formed. Absence of participative forums. Then so many reasons are there. Promotion policies is another issue. To be a third force between the working class and the management. So that's why it's all other reasons. Now protections, reservations, improvement of professional welfare activities, organizational interests, channel of communications, all are different activities. For many tickets, I think that we have already discussed. No union fund does not mean that unions does not exist in the establishment. Because in the fund there is no union, non-union. It doesn't mean. It refers to an organization where the management does not deal with a trade union that collectively represents the interest of the your employee. Because it does not recognize the union for taking the decisions related to term and the conditions of the unions. It also represents a situation-wise management, consult with a selection of these some selected workers. They have to discuss and finalize the thing. So workers for the negotiations are constituted like this. So non-unionism occurs in firms because of the various reasons. So many reasons are there why the non-union organizations are there, and sometimes they are successful also. Some respect. Because there are quarrels, some of the negotiation or unnecessary delay, strike, layoff, and all these things are lockout. It can be avoided in this way. some extent. So some of these reasons are as follows. First, the management wants to avoid the trade union influence because sometimes management they don't want the unions always give you some influence all the times. Any project, any decisions. So they try to avoid this thing. Otherwise, it may be a delay. So non-unionism occurred by the chance and not because the trade unions caused any problems. Because no union willingly don't want to some of the undue advantages, but sometimes it has happened. So things. Anyhow, it is different authors has given in a different way. They have derived it. So dividend not non-union organizations into several types. That's the good, bad, and ugly non-unionism. So different way we can express the things. Good non-unionism means the good non-unionism union employer provides an attractive terms and the conditions of the employer. Here it is C means the non-unionisms because there is no union as such, but that company is good. Means the employers provide the attractive terms and conditions. So there is no as such the role of the unions. Everybody are happy. They can directly interact with the HRM people, and other practices are there is also good. So example the greater autonomy and above the average the remunerations is also good. Development opportunities are there. So there is a whatever the function of the trade unions, everything are considered by the management. So there is no question of this. So we can say it is a non-functional type of unions are there. Bad and ugly non-unions, such firms operate as highly competitive markets and are often dependent upon the larger enterprises for their work. So for some of the organizations, they are always dependent on the big companies. If the big company is profitable, they are also getting profit. If the big companies are going down, slow down or declining, they are also declining. So it depends on these things. So that are not considering is a good company. These are all bad companies. So in the bad, the non-union firms, management offers poor wages because sometimes it has happened the management is giving a not good salaries. So we can say this is the way the naming are formations. Management offer the poor wages and the condition of the workers are not good. And even in the management there are malintentions. So their corruptions are there. Management are also just making their money in their own accounts. Like this is all are ugly management, and they are basically exploiting the workers. Another flux 1981, 95. The characteristics of the non-union companies. Yes, justified as a sense of caring, the climate and the trust, high profitability, employment security, promotions from within, influential personal departments, competitive pay and the benefits, open communication channels, better performance management. Non-union organizations are also known to be characterized by the egalitarianism and the equality. So all are the basic things. Then your reasons for the emergence of non-union firms. Why the non-union firms has emerged? Because it is generally considered that the decline in trade unions is attributable to four major factors. There are more major factors are there. Because of that, it has the major regions. There is structural and economic changes because everywhere the lot of changes are going on. So and there another thing, the structural and economical. Structural in the sense that the company has merged or demerged or acquisitions programs are there, strategical things. So that's why the structural changes are going on. So where the management are deciding are the prime factors. Economic conditions because the changes of the inflation affect the things. Exchange rate is also changing. So market are dynamic nature. So economic changes are one of the effect. There is a political legal influences because the government policies and the political stable political parties are rule the governments. So that also influencing the things. Managerial attributes and the behaviors also important. What the type of behaviors and managers in the top management are showing, and that different culture is good or not. Then employee attitudes and the behaviors. And last is another things. Employee attitudes are very the prime considerations. So non-union firms are able to manage employees as well, and they get the opportunity to deal directly with the employees rather than through the unions. So non-union firms are able to manage. That's why it is human resource system in the non-union firms. So union, in this case, the some of the involvement are there. Basically. The employees' involvement through their still belief to create some of the beliefness. There is no substitute to unions when it comes to the protecting the employees' interest. So if you protect all the employees, so employees are happy. They are not inclined with the unions. Sometimes they are not inclined. They are inclined with the management because they are when they are feel my company, my organizations are providing everything, all the facilities they are giving, salaries in time, development is on time, my child is also happy, family is also happy. So they are not going to the union things. So that time slowly it will be inactive. The union conditions are to be inactive. So HR and through this HR systems, it is possible to do so. Undergone a big change with the technological interventions in work and the emergence of the gigantic economic. Even though the economic conditions there, that condition will be there. Still, you can survive the things. The focus today is on the developing and the retaining the talent employees in the organizations. So every company are focusing on how to retain the talent employees so that they can contribute continuously. They should not leave the organizations after getting a lot of experiences. So various strategies of the human resource management have developed for time to time to enhance the employee satisfactions and the dual objectives to the improvement, improve the productivity, have positive employees and relationships. Then the disputes of settlement. So by the dispute settlement is one of the big issues. As early as possible, we have to settle it. That's why the grievances are there and all these things. That it will create some of the safety, improving the safety, worker conditions, and economic giants. Union participation in the collective bargaining is an important means of the achieving the industrial harmony. Collective bargaining, another, is viewed as a defining features of the labor management relationships. This line is very important. The collective bargaining is viewed as a defining features of the labor management relationships. Effective means of the managing the workforce conflict, addressing the worker concerns, and eliciting the worker voice and inputs. While the grievance process is often seen as a mechanism for advancing the workers and the union interest to equity. So that's why the grievance cells are very important. Definitely, grievance is a part of your HRM only. They have to deal with matters so that as early as possible to settle down all the issues on behalf of your employees and efficient employer efficiency. Then some of the approaches are there. The strategies are broadly based on the following approaches: avoidance approaches, then defensive approaches, operational approaches, and unilateral approaches. Then your comprehensive approaches. There are so many approaches are there for the basically to develop the relationships with the union, trade unions, and management. So, some underlining some of the motivations part is there because any approaches, definitely there should be some motivation. The driving force should be there to basically the way to relationships, to build up relationships. Best option are the connected with the rights of the employees. This method includes the mandatory employment attributions, then your peer review methods, so that you can have a right-based options basically. Then interest-based options. Interest-based options are used by the certain non-union funds to address the your external threats, mediations. The worker involvement and the participation of the method may be directed to achieve the effective communications and the exchange between the workers and the management, or may be used as a mechanisms for the workers to share their ideas and provide the input and management immediately. Sit together, management and the workers or the key workers and the key personals, key managers are sit together on maybe in the weekend or maybe the fortnightly. They have to sit together and what are the best can be possible. They can discuss and come out some solutions. That is the best way the participative method really can develop the things. So firms may adopt on the three workers participation strategy. So that based on these, the things are there. The participation avoidance, then your production centered participations, worker centered participation. So there are so many ways are there. We can the strategies can be followed. Some of the factors are affecting the employee relations. Here we have to talk about the strategies, combine the workers' participation in management, and the dispute resolutions approaches to manage the overreaching and the employees' relations, and your external pressures, then your internal organizational dynamics, and your the employee relations models and workforce characteristics. So there are so many things are the factors are there. I'll not go in details of all these things. Everything are elaborated in the study materials. Now I have to discuss some of the trade unions. That's here actually I have discussed. As you have seen, we have so far now to try to recap the things. Trade union development and the function where we have to see how it has formulated and how it has come, all these things. Then trade union structures and recognitions that are also we have seen. Managing the trade unions and managing organizations and the employers organizations. Now I have to discuss some of the question patterns and some of the questions from the exam point of view. What type of questions are likely to be? That is in this block basically. So question may come, outline the origin and the growth of employees. So then you have to go through the back of the things, your pre-war stages, then between the two war stages, all these things you have to start from there itself. And set the first illustrations. What are the issues involved in the participative forms? Then question may come like this: discuss the origin and the growth of employers organizations in India. Same answer will be there. I mean, the questions may come. All these are questions that come different examination time. Then you have to start from the period of 1933, what happened, then period between the 1934 to 1946, what has happened, and the post-independence period, what is happened. Everything you have to discuss these things. So different periods, what are the achievements at that time, what are the resolutions has occurred. So everything of the issues involved that time, everything you have to things to discuss. Short note may come, and that's where derive the short notes and the types of unions, how many types of unions. And that tells you revolutionary type unions, then reformist unions, optimist unions. So though you this type of questions. Then your um, question may come discuss the various structures and the type of the trade unions. Different structures of, just as I show some of the slides, the primary levels, then your state levels and the national levels, that structures you have to show and write these things. Briefly describe the structure of the trade unions in India and illustrations. So questions will come that time you have to see. And another part is that time see the classical, non-classical, revolutionary type. That also you can touch upon. But basically, you have to, when the structure is type of question are coming, you have to write, basically, you have to focus on the primary unions, the industrial productions, and your national centers that you have to, but then you can elaborate some of the things. And things. Then questions may come like this way, the method of the verification of the union memberships. So memberships, some rule and regulations that as per our, it has been evolved in 1957 as per the Labor Act, how many persons will be there, that also. And CTU, what are the CTU full forms and definition, what are the focus, what are the, that also you have to write. Then national commissions of the labor of the recognition of unions. Then ILO, you have to give some short note on ILO, International Labor Organizations. Then question may come other way. Briefly discuss the structure of the Indian trade unions. Okay, that we have seen. Then your question may come. Right there, short of the registrations and the recognition of the trade unions. There is also another thing, how the process of their registration process. It is also amended by the things, the Trade Union Act, that is your 2001. It is amended. And there are so many things. Any 7 or more members of a trade unions by the subscribing their names to the rule of the trade unions, and by the otherwise the employee compiling the your provisions like this, limiting the proportions of the outstandings. There is at least 1/3 of the total member of the office bearers, nor 5 which has the less than generally 50% of the unorganized sectors. Then this type of question, the main objects of the forming the things, this is also important. So this is the way type of questions are coming. Briefly discuss the method of verifications of the union memberships and what are the advantage and another question, last question, that is good. What are the advantage of the trade unions and what are the disadvantage of the trade unions? This is the way this block and the questions are like this. So okay, I think now I cover up the particular this block too. I hope it will be benefited for all the learners. So all the thanks for everybody for listening especially. Thank you. ये मनीष जी एक फॉर्म दे दीजिए, एक फॉर्म दे दीजिए, मैं देता हूँ।